question I wanted to ask the lady.
Yeah.
What was the most dangerous moment you were over there? What was the one thing that you got taken to a war zone and pushed you around? Anything anecdotal, in that vein?
Well, I was never frightened over there. I thought we were very well secured. I know some of us would like to have gone into Kabul or to Kuwait, offered to wear burqas, but they would not let us off the base. I would like to have had that experience because we were on bases all the time. We were not in the public, and I never felt frightened. Never felt scared.
But we were in the war zone.
We were
taken by Black Hawk helicopter into the war zone.
We're in this Black Hawk, and these two military men are helping us into our helicopter. Pilots are up here, and all of a sudden the two get in and go behind machine guns. And they're out there like this, and they're pointing, they're looking, and because protect us. And then, oh my gosh, we are in a war zone. I mean, it really hits you when you realize where you are.
I think to piggyback onto that comment about being in the Black Hawk helicopters, it becomes very real. The pilots were very generous, and they allowed us to wear their headsets to hear exactly what was going on and their communications back and forth. And as you heard them pointing out people in areas in the terrain that they were watching, and that they were watching with gun in hand as we were flying by, it unsettles you a bit. And the other dangerous aspect is that I believe we went to the most forward operating base on the border of Pakistan from where we were, or in the region that we were. And it had just recently, in that region within 10 miles, had just recently been ambushed. And so it was sobering beyond anything that you can imagine to meet with people who are putting their life on the line on a daily basis and working so hard to train the Afghan army to build alliances and to build relationships and to build a nation there.
Well, the thing that's so different about Afghanistan as opposed to Iraq is that Afghan nationals are working on our bases there. So they go through incredible security. You know these machines that they're talking about, excuse me, putting in airports now that literally almost x-ray your body. There's so much controversy about it. Well, Bibi Shop actually got in one of those because that's what the Afghan nationals...
She saw me.
Yeah. She did. She said, I'll do it. But so we got to see what the Afghan nationals go through just to get on base every day, because there is a security risk. I mean, for everything you can imagine. But one funny anecdote, talking about what you forgot to bring to Afghanistan. We weren't allowed to bring a whole lot of stuff, and it was really like camp kind of. We were sleeping in what they call a bee hut, which is made of. It's very ecologically quickly made out of, what do they call that? The kind of wood. Plywood walls. And our schedule was that we would be picked up at probably 4:30, 4:45 in the morning because the military, believe me, they do not think anything of getting you up and out at 4:30 in the morning. They don't consider eyeliner or eyeshadow curls a part of it. So, and there was an element of excitement about it too. It's like I'm lying awake at 2:30, thinking, okay, I need to be in the restroom by 3:30 to hopefully get a plug-in for my hair dryer so I can get ready by 4:30. Okay, so I'm lying awake, and I can see in the bee hut, like, who's up, because people are already, my comrades are already texting or whatever, and everybody's sound asleep, some snoring, I will not say who. But I can see that Erica, because that was usually me, Erica was awake, so I said, Erica, are you awake? She's, yeah, because we have to walk, like, probably a quarter of a mile to the outhouse, basically, and all the white rocks. And we had decided that we were not going to walk alone because a couple people did it. They said it was a little creepy. I mean, just for all the reasons.
Well, and there were snakes and base spiders.
So Erica said, yeah, I'm awake. I said, let's go ahead and go into, start our showers and everything. So we walk there in the dark, and we climb up the stairs to go into the shower house. And we open the door, and it's 2:30 in the morning. We open the door, and I'm not kidding you, there are 15 Afghan national men in there cleaning. And they're all just sitting there in, their garb, because they don't wear military, they wear their garb that they wear in their country. And Eric and I was like, and I just shut the door really fast and because it was 2:30 in the morning, I sort of forgot where I was, and I said, oh my God, there are 20 Iraqis in there. And without missing a beat, she looked at me and went, well, what do we do now? You see, we go down to the latrine and wait. So we go to the latrine, and we are standing in the latrine, and she's going to me, I don't know what I should do, if I should do my recording career first, if I could do it Finally, we go up, we wait like 10 or 20 minutes, and we finally go up, and they have cleared out, and so we,
One of the things I think it's important for you guys to know is that it was considered less dangerous if they took us out early in the morning because they had told us the Taliban sleeps late.
I think that's our hint right there.
So they got us up early so we could make 4 appearances before noon, and then we would go back to Bagram Air Force Base and do appearances on the base at the different groups and generals and their staffs. But one morning, after we had hit about our 4th camp and we're heading back to the Blackhawks, and we had 50-pound body armor, 50-pound and helmets and the whole thing, and every time I tried to help BB with her, she'd go, I could do it myself, and boy could she ever. So we let BB carry her. So they told us that, we were still having a full day, and Susan looks at me and she says, Sam, what time is it? And I looked at my watch and I said, it's 8:30 in the morning. And we had already been to 4 camps. It felt at least like it was lunch. So, but we truly did everything they asked of us, and it was the most life-changing experience for me that I've ever had. And these women will forever be bonded to me in my heart.
One thing that was, it sounds like a small thing, but there was one morning, and it might have been the first morning, and none of us could sleep, all of the girls on the 6 bunk beds in the V hut, and there was lots of giggling. And I'll never forget Sam and some of the men that were on the other side
I
of the
stayed in the
plywood
men's
wall.
barracks with them.
And at one point, I don't know what happened, but the story that you tell about that really reveals how meaningful it was.
It was about 3:30. It was probably this story Susan was telling because that was one of the earliest mornings that we had, and the girls had started about 2:30, 2:45, and we could hear giggling. And then I hear all these, rough and tumble guys. And then the guy in the bunk next to me, I said, guys, I'm so sorry, but they're just excited. He said, no, it's okay. We just love hearing women's voices.
Sarah, just to finish, did you hear or see any gunfire at all?
No, we did not actually, but the scary thing is that Bagram was hit the day after we left, and a week after we left, 2 of the Blackhawks that we had been in went down and killed 8 people. So God was with us, and there was a prayer chain for us that was started by Tawana Little in Louisiana and spread quickly across the country, and we felt so safe and so loved, and I've always felt that God has been in everything that I do, and I think these girls felt the same.
We had such an amazing, there was one moment which I think the video shows that they used so beautifully edited of all our footage on our little tiny video cameras, but there was one afternoon where we were lucky enough to go to the operating base that Nicole spoke of called Bob Bostic, and those guys, the survivors of that previous ambush, were all there, and I think they had lost something like, was it 28 or 33 men, a lot of men within a few hours at that ambush. And so the survivors were now at this next operating base, which I believe was going to be closed, by the way, because they're not going to put our soldiers in that kind of harm anymore. Those bases, they're not in populated areas, and that's what makes them so dangerous. So we were there and visiting with these amazing, and I say kids because they are, most of them, not all of them, but most of them are just kids. And you see a lot of everything at that particular base. First of all, it's so beautiful there. It's surrounded by mountains. It's a gorgeous part of the world. And you sort of sit there and go, God, if these people could ever get it together, it could literally be a tourist destination. It's so pretty. It's at the base of the Himalayas. I mean, it's just gorgeous.
But you don't see that. You see the sand and the dirt. And the
when you see it on the news, you see the really ugliest parts of that. But it is a beautiful country. And we were there with these young men who had survived this ambush, and along with a lot of other people who were stationed at this base. And we played with them. I mean, we just played. We played out it was a great day, and just talking and flirting and talking and, well, can I hold your gun, or, you know. Oh, G.I. Joe. Is that what the kids are calling it? Anyway, and we laughed just like we're laughing now. Hysterical laughing. These are great pictures of us laughing till we were crying with these guys. Laughing. And they're laughing, you know, from going to just, oh my God, where are we in the world, to seeing us come off the helicopter and brightening and laughing and talking and where are you from, you know. And then it was such a poignant moment. We got on the helicopter, and it's out on these white rocks that they basically built these heliports out there. And we all got back on the helicopters, and they're running out to wave goodbye to us, and we're all looking down, smiling, waving, and laughing, and we all turned to each other and just burst into tears, because the reality of that is that when you see these people, these young men, face to face, and where they are, and then you think, if anything happens to that kid, how it would make you feel now that you know him or her. And it is very poignant, and all of us just looked at each other and burst into tears and really rode back in silence back to Kabul. So,
you know, we wondered why we were there. We did not perform. We did not sing, dance. We were ready to. We all could have. But this is not what we were there for. It was to meet and greet. And I think, what does this do? But it puts smiles on their faces. And they see the same uniforms, the same, even though we were in basic jeans and those armor things. But I guess another smiling face, and we had the opportunity of not only learning what each of the divisions on the camp, each camp did, because they would tell us, had pictures, we signed our autographs, and then we talked to them. And someone would say, let's go, we got to go to the next one, and we give them hugs. You know, that was more meaningful than singing on stage. And it was such an opportunity and such an honor to be there to do that.
The one most poignant moment for me was while we were at Bob Bostic. There was a young man who I started to talk to, and he had on sunglasses, and he took his sunglasses off, and as it turned out, he just had the most beautiful hazel eyes, and I'm just staring at this little kid, and I'm just like, oh, he's just so adorable. You know, there was a lot of flirting going on. Sorry, Brian. It's just the fact of like, hey, you're looking at Miss Puerto Rico. I can look at the cutie pie section. That's for another press conference. Just thought I'd get that out in the open for the people.
you have to do what you have to do for your country.
You do. And being an official ambassador, as I was, but when he took his sunglasses off and we were talking, and he actually was from an area in South Carolina that I've frequented several times, and we got a chance to talk about just where he's from, and I said to him, well, how long have you been here? And he told me he'd been out for 7 months, and I said, well, how old are you? And you could see that he'd had such a rigid experience being out there, and of course because of the ambush that had taken a toll on them, but he looked at me and he says, ma'am, I just turned 20. And I just lost it right in front of him. And, you know, I was pretty stoic all the way through, and that moment just really gripped me because I was looking in this child's eyes, and he told me he was 20, and all I could think about was my nephew who was 20 and 21, and I'm thinking about what I was doing when I was 20 and what some of my guy friends were doing and what my girlfriends, what we were planning for our lives when we were 20, and it wasn't looking at and watching one of our comrades being shot in the head. I mean, those images that they are living with is so real, and it was so much more real when we were able to be there and see it through their eyes, and that was definitely the most poignant experience for me. And just having the opportunity, like Phoebe said, to just smile and laugh with them took them out of their element so deeply. It just took them away for that 10, 15 minutes that we were there with them, and that was the most impressive part of being on that trip.
I'd like to also give a shout out to Charlene Wells, Miss America 1985, who helped structure this entire trip, and also to Heather Whitestone, who was with us, and to Lieutenant Jill Stevens, who, as you will remember, was Miss Utah 2 years ago. And she had served in Afghanistan, and she was with us. And Heather, much to everyone's discouragement, saying, don't bring your crown, wanted to take her crown. And so all the other ladies said, it's too much baggage, you'll have too much trouble keeping up with it. She brought her Miss America crown. And it became one of the most popular things done because Heather was putting it on everyone, and they all wanted their pictures taken in it. And Heather was so inspirational. When she would speak to these soldiers, they would get tears in their eyes, and she would talk about the fact that they were protecting her 3 little boys back at home. And she said, my little boys told me that I was to come here and give you hugs, and those guys couldn't line up with her.
Well, and she also, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't she win the push-up contest?
Yes. No.
Hello?
No,